Up next on UBC, brought to you by...
Keep the lights on. Use Airtel Money to pay for all your Yaka bills conveniently. Open the My Airtel app to buy Yaka units. Airtel Money. Simple, secure, borderless.
A very good evening to you all. Thank you for watching UBC Television Inspiring Uganda. My name is Wadulo Mark Arnold, Mugalu Muhammad in sign language, and without further ado, let's take a look at tonight's top stories. In our top stories tonight, 4 errant police officers recommended for dismissal. Furthermore, we'll take a look at how 12 rebels surrendered to security in Zombo. Government to resettle Mulisa flood victims. And then leaders seek solutions to Kasese frequent disasters. It is exactly 1 minute past the hour of 10, so sit tight as we run through the hour. Now, 12 members of the Uganda Homeland Liberation Front rebels have surrendered to security in Zombo after defecting from their rebel group. The rebels surrendered to the resident district commissioner, Zombo District, and UBC has the details.
Of the government of Uganda, and on behalf of my appointing authority, I hand you over to the local leaders.
12 rebels of Uganda Homeland Liberation Front, including a lady identified as Torak Morin, have surrendered to government.
I really have the honor to again hand her over to the honorable members of parliament. She ran to Congo. She has been there for the last 2 weeks. You are welcome back home.
While handing over the 12 to the leaders of Zombo, the RDC Zombo District Andrew Kajoyingi says it's a historic day for the people of Zombo and Uganda for this defection.
I'm very, very happy that you have turned up in a big number to witness this historic event to receive more members of Uganda Homeland Liberation Front. The first one, and very, very important, was when we received Colonel Mose Atochon.
Kajoyingi says the matter has been presented to the Amnesty Commission to help the rebel group to resettle back to their families.
When the other 4 came on Thursday, I informed the Amnesty Commission, and good enough, they responded yesterday. They came to document the 4 people. Get it clear that it is the policy of the government that whoever abandons rebellion and reports himself or herself to authorities shall be given amnesty.
Ora County Member of Parliament Lawrence Songa and Okoro County MP Gabriel Okumu attributed border insecurity to the neighboring DRC over continued scramble of minerals.
The things happening in Congo, there are so many groups fighting for minerals here in Congo. And they tend to use the local people, both in Congo and Uganda.
Our borderline has always been a cause of all our problems.
Chief of Ulendo Chiefdom Manasi Njuni thanked government for convincing the young men to abandon the rebellion and called upon parents to trace for their missing youth so that they can also come out.
Every parent whose child is still out
should look for that child and that child should come out.
In March 2020, a group of men said to be linked to the Corporation of the Development of Congo attacked UPDF detached in Zombo, setting all houses ablaze. On 16th July 2021, a group said to be attached to Uganda Homeland Liberation Front attacked a UPDF detached in Zeu County, killing one soldier and injuring others. Uganda Homeland Liberation Front is comprised of youth who are mainly armed with machetes, bows and arrows, a few guns, with the daring leaders said to be hiding in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. Story compiled by Joseph Odama for UBC News.
Now, furthermore, a visiting team of ministers and leaders to Kasese are proposing a way forward to end the disasters that have continuously claimed lives and property in the district. Now, the team led by the 3rd Deputy Prime Minister Rukia Nakadama observed that human interference on the environment needs to be addressed urgently.
A team of ministers led by the 3rd Deputy Prime Minister Rukia Nakadama has visited disaster-affected areas of Kasese district. The visit, intended to ascertain the flood's magnitude and the number of affected persons, attracted several cabinet ministers and leaders at different levels. Nakadama says there is need for government to first address environment issues like deforestation, swamp reclamation, which have directly led to such disasters.
And I want to say that government is doing all of what is within its means to reduce the reoccurrences of these floods and landslides.
The Permanent Secretary, Minister of Water and Environment, Alfredo Kidi, says the encroachment of riverbanks and bush burning have equally contributed to the river flooding in Kasese. He says the ministry is moving towards disaster mapping of the riverbanks and thereafter desilt the rivers.
We are going to go to the hot spots, and we have identified 7 of them, where we are going to remove some of this silt, remove some of these boulders, and strengthen those 7 hot spots. And we will also remove the silt that has blocked some of the river beds that causes the water to just flush. So we have identified 7 hot spots as a measure of immediate priority that we are going to tackle.
The State Minister for Local Government, Victoria Businjerusoke, encouraged leaders at grassroots to help government sensitize the communities about environmental management issues.
Through the Prime Minister to come and make a fact-finding mission for all the calamities in Kasese district.
Kasese Municipality Member of Parliament, Ferigo Kambale, commended leaders for their efforts aimed at managing water runoffs and other disasters in the district.
We are grateful for the unity so far. We work as a team. We don't want to know issues of the parties. It's time to work for our people. Prime Minister, we are fearing that for any other reason, financial related, because we are not aware of the conditions on this grant, we could be surprised that the World Bank will at one time say we want to withdraw this money because it has not been used.
Kasese district is among the areas that often experience the worst form of disasters, leading to loss of lives and property. Story compiled by Moses Mutabali for UBC News.
Furthermore, government is considering a resettlement plan for the flood-affected victims of Bulisa district. Prime Minister Robin Anabanja was assessing the disaster situation in the area and called on the local leaders to avail relief food for the deserving victims. Henry Okrut with more on the story.
Even in the midst of floods, the communal land for the people of Butiaba in Bulisa district is reportedly under threat. 2 people have been named in land grabbing to the disadvantage of the locals.
Ati musanguikiro hagusara muramuza kaija yagumya mali itaka nini lya community pasaija banu hawakoyambisa government ba Major General Hamu na Taikuni Major General Fred Mugisa
This was one of the concerns that caught the attention of the Prime Minister Robina Nabanja as she assessed the disaster situation in BUNYORO sub-region.
So that because these ones, they said, we don't need the government to buy land, we have our land. But somebody is taking it for free. Remember the chairman said, we have grown here. Somebody from somewhere else is taking our land, ma'am. So I think we need to find out how he got the land. That's what. Two, who sold him the land? Because he cannot claim to have inherited. No. So that means we have to help that community.
Also of concern to her was the submerged health facilities that need serious attention.
Unfortunately, we have not received this state of affairs as far as disaster is concerned in the district. So we are waiting for this report, but for me, I documented mine. But probably what we shall do is to ask the leadership, the CAO and the Chairman 5 and the District Disaster Management Committee to sit together and come up with that report, and then we shall spice and blend that report with what we have, and then come up with a hybrid report for your action.
You will going to see us here more time, so our teams are going to here. I think even next week we should be able to have our teams here. And they are going to work with the teams. Asking the RDC, I think they have a comprehensive report. We'll start with that, and then we shall be able to follow the rest of the things.
This too, alongside relocation of landless flood victims, is being looked into with the urgency it deserves.
We have to inform our people the truth, that they will never go back to those areas. Yes, we have to tell them this bitter truth. Yes, once your house was there, but you will never go back in those areas, even if water dries. As a cabinet, we agreed, nature has reclaimed its territory, let us respect nature.
In company of two other ministers under the office of the Prime Minister, Nabanja called for availing of relief aid to deserving beneficiaries.
I commit myself that I will do my best, and all I need from you are two things: cooperation and transparency. And the mileage that we shall achieve as we work as a team will be enormous. I want to ask the leadership of the district, we're just from down there, the people who are affected by the floods are complaining. Even the little assistance that government is sending to the people, you give again to the people who are not affected. Please let us identify these people, and we serve them by giving them what is their entitlement. Because if you don't give them, you're trying to betray the visit of the Prime Minister.
The people who are affected are not the ones who are given food. They are not the ones who are given taplings. We are giving government relief to people who are not supposed to benefit. And I am saying that must stop, and now.
Among the places visited included Butiaba and Wanseko landing sites. Nabanja is optimistic that government will find a lasting remedy. Henry Okrut, UBC.
In other news, the Minister of Lands, Judith NABAKOOBA, has launched a public toll-free center where the public will seek redress, make inquiries and file complaints. The line will be up 5 days a week, and this was at an event held at the Lands Information Center in Kampala.
The Ministry of Lands has revived the toll-free hotline to facilitate aggrieved persons' regular reporting.
Like our system connects with those other institutions that can help. For instance, like police, we contact police and refer them that in such and such a village, there's an eviction that is going on, and ministry has been contacted so that they intervene.
This follows an increase in land-related grievances in the country.
The call center staff have, over the last few weeks, Honorable Minister, been undergoing training and have been given a lot of information about the ministry, its mandate and function, so that when a call comes in on some of these aspects, they are able to deal with them.
The center has been relaunched by the Minister in charge of Lands, Housing and Urban Development, Judith NABAKOOBA.
Many families throughout the country are living under fear of the unknown. They don't know what will happen next. This is because of the constant threats to their homes and probably to their gardens. But in addition, we also get complaints in relation to the transactions, to the processes in the land offices and the different MZOs. We are now trying to open up to the public to show them that we can be accessible and we are here to serve them.
Vincent Maira, the director in charge of physical planning in the Ministry of Lands, Housing and Urban Development, highlights on how the center intends to operate.
The call center is now functional, Honorable Minister, and has been receiving 5 to 10 calls a day. I think this is on account of the fact that not too many citizens already know about it, and I think that would be the next big campaign. We expect to have the issues responded to immediately and at most within 1 day, Honorable Minister.
Although NABAKOOBA acknowledges the importance of the call center, she demands for an upgrade of its system.
The Undersecretary must rectify the issues I have identified. I'm not going to repeat them, but you know them. At least by next week, I want to have a fully functional call center when agents have also been provided with information on the RDCs, the police, and probably the different MZOs.
The call center will operate on the codes 0800 100004 and will run 6 days a week with hopes of relieving the general public seeking for assistance but in vain.
I therefore urge members of the public to use the toll-free line for the following purposes. Report cases of illegal land evictions in your areas. Report incidents of corruption and bribery. Follow up on the reports of delayed land transactions. And also bring to us complaints and reports on poor service delivery and absenteeism of our staff.
The center is now open to the general public starting this Monday, 2nd August 2021. However, jokers, hoodwinkers or even fraudsters are reminded to stay away from the line. Robert Onyango, UBC News.
Allow me to recite the toll-free lands officer's number. It is 0800 100 004. Again, it's 0800 100 004 in case you have inquiries on land. Now moving on, 4 police officers attached to Zombo Central Police Station have been recommended for dismissal. The Chairman Police Standby Court Commissioner of Police Ubaldo Bamunoba gave the verdict at a special police court. These are the details.
The Chairman, Police Standby Court, Ubaldo Bamunoba, has recommended for the dismissal of 4 policemen that facilitated the escape of a wanted criminal.
The court found out the following. On count 1, neglect of duty, contrary to section 44, subsection 1, code 19D of the Police Act, cap 03. The other team reached CPS Arua on the same day when fully signed for the suspect who was handed over to them as per the laid down procedures before they departed for Paida. 3. That the DPC, that's D1, well aware that the suspect was in their custody in the motor vehicle, went ahead and ordered his crew, who were to take custody of the suspect, to go and pick a motorcycle, leaving the suspect unattended to.
The police officers identified as Towong Joshua and two of his subordinates, ASP Wanjala, the OCCID and the OC station, ASP Totia Gilbert, all failed to report the escape of Dennis Ogewong to their supervisors. Meanwhile, court sentenced the OCCID, ASP Wanjala, Alex Paul, to severe reprimand and recommended him for dismissal on grounds of making false and misleading statements to his supervisors. The acting DPC, ASP Towong Joshua and ASP Wanjala Alex Paul, the OCCID, was severely reprimanded and recommended for dismissal.
ASP Wanjala Alex Paul is hereby sentenced to recommendation of dismissal in accordance with Section 44, subsection 1, Code 15B, and 28, subsection 1A, and 28, subsection 2 of the Police Act, Cap 303. Right of appeal. Both parties are hereby informed of the right to appeal against this judgment to the Police Appellate Court within the 14 days from the date this judgment is signed.
Corporal Ojul Sulaiman, the investigative officer, was severely reprimanded, whereas Corporal Abidrabo Albert was recommended for dismissal because he has appeared several times before the police disciplinary court. Meanwhile, Yalaba Gilbert, the driver, was acquitted on grounds that he was sickly on the day the suspect escaped. OC station, ASP Totia Gilbert, was acquitted on grounds that he was not informed about the matter in time.
Furthermore, the South Karamoja Diocese Bishop, the Right Reverend Abura Joseph, has called for compulsory education for all the Karamoja sub-region youth. Bishop Abura says that education is a vital tool in ending insecurity in Karamoja sub-region, as these details share with us.
The Karamojong have for some time regarded livestock and the gun as part of their security in a harsh environment. It is the gun and the cow that make the Karamojong engage in cattle rustling.
Over materials such as water, such as pasture. Over the years, and even these conflicts began there, stemmed there, have those roots.
Somebody's animals are taken and takes long to recover. That person gets frustrated. Recovery of animals.
Early 2000, government conducted disarmament for almost 10 years, collecting over 40,000 guns from rustlers. Most of these guns are got from the South Sudan and Turkana County in Kenya. The Bishop of South Karamoja Diocese, Joseph Abura, traces the origin of insecurity in Karamoja to informal education, where Karachunas get their skills.
School of the children who have not gone to school. They teach them war, they teach them conflict, they teach them cattle rustling, they teach them successes in wars, they teach them killing. So that killing a person does not affect anybody. It is like success story, it's like a good thing. And so the brains have been washed and turned into wild people. So, and yet that school has more students who go in there. All the boys that are
Some elders blame non-government organizations over causing a rift between elders and the youth.
Mascop has held us, another one, the Caritas has held us, who are not performing what the Karamojong used to do in the 60s.
Women in the area blame government for leaving them out of peace talks, yet they are very vital for socio-economic development and stability of communities.
Because these are raiders, these are our husbands, these are our sons. They start from the village. So if we are involved, we always break it at the village level that my husband has told me, cook this food, is going away. I also break that peace because they look at the peace, they look at the insecurity like going for a raid. They don't look at the planning point, that the planning starts at home.
The peace committee, the women peace forums, the youth, to recognize us as a structure and facilitate them, at least to make a continuous sensitization, counseling, and dialogues.
The Bishop of South Karamoja Diocese, the Right Reverend Joseph Abura, says insecurity in the region can be successfully curbed if all the Karamojongs are enabled to access education. Both Abura and former chairperson Napak District and Ulga President Joseph Lomonyang believe that once education is taken as priority, insecurity will end in Karamoja sub-region.
If there might be affirmative action by government to make sure that all the Karamojong girls and boys go to school, we will have treated not the symptoms but the cause of conflict, of the long and parring conflict. It will only take about 10 years. They will not, about anything is going to be difficult for them because they will have had the word of the Lord. They will have had, respect for life.
Could really provide us affordable action and find a better way to change this region. And as I say, education is the way to go. Establishing boarding schools in the region, providing all the necessary support. After all,
a number of leaders in Karamoja have mixed feelings on the ongoing disarmament exercise as the solution to insecurity in the sub-region.
Where we know the criminal is here. The disarmament we are hoping to have now should be intelligence-led, whereby the Karamojongs tell the soldiers as a criminal.
These spears. Disarmament over the decades has come and gone. Disarmament. And I do not know that it works for a short while because it makes things quiet. But very soon it comes up because the Turkana of Kenya are not disarmed. The Pokot of Kenya are not disarmed. The Southern Sudanese have their armories in their shops. The Ugandan people have arms.
It's not late if government could now carry full-scale disarmament because the guns are already among the people. The guns are already there. Those few guns can create a lot of insecurity because we cannot accept people to become vulnerable when we have government in place.
Leaders agree that it is every Karamojong's responsibility to end insecurity, and they want all districts given water sources and pasture as the lasting solution to uncertainty.
This which will come here without the participation of the Karamojong. Even if we bring all soldiers of Uganda here, without the participation of the owners, nothing will happen. There will still be a problem. Even now people are lamenting, bring soldiers, bring helicopters. To kill who?
Both the elders, the elites, the church, we should all come and talk one voice so that we say everything which is beginning must have its ending. From after when shall we continue killing ourselves?
Moriniga, Sudat Kaye, UBC News.
Furthermore, Masindi members of parliament have donated 2 ambulances and 3 emergency care vehicles to their electorate. Joab Businje from Masindi Municipality, Chiza Kenneth Nyendwoha of Bujenje County, and Aled Akujiziwa of Buruli County used the 200 million Ugandan shillings for the vehicle money given to them by Parliament to purchase the 5 medical customized vehicles.
Masindi members of parliament have gifted their constituents with ambulances and medical equipment to assist in transporting the sick to the nearest health facility. Speaking at the commissioning of the ambulances in Masindi town, Joab Businje of Masindi Municipality urged the electorate to always ask their members of parliament for big projects like ambulances and agricultural inputs, which they cannot afford, instead of asking for sugar and soap or posho.
Masindi hereby take this opportunity to launch the vehicles donated by our area member of parliament to serve in the all sub-counties in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Kiza noted that people were facing a challenge of transportation in the villages in case of any emergency. Due to the limited emergency vehicles in his constituency,
we procured 3 vehicles to enable improve emergency services. They are not ambulances per se, but they are emergency cars to help movement of our patients from rural areas to the referral centers within the district.
I would advise the electorate, our voters, to step up and become serious. They should stop asking for these petty gifts. You are asking for maize flour. These simple things which we can afford using our own effort. Some of these things, they should put leaders to task to provide what they cannot afford. Like now, every home cannot afford an ambulance, cannot afford an efficient means of transport which is faster to get your patient in emergency situation.
The district chairperson Masindi Cosmas Biarhanga thanked the MPs for the initiative, adding that this will go a long way in saving lives of the vulnerable in the district.
I just want to thank my colleagues, that is the MP for Vijenje, the MP for Masindi Municipality and myself, whereby we were able to think of what we can get to really supplement on government programs. So it is something good, and indeed it is going to save our mothers and generally to improve on the health in our district.
As a mother, I really appreciate the donation given to us. We have been having maternal deaths, mothers dying, giving birth. Transport has been a problem because others are very deep in the villages and transport was a problem. So these vehicles are going to help us a lot.
He also urged the drivers of the vehicles to undergo some kind of training on how to handle patients who are on emergency to make sure that these patients are transported safely.
In other news, parents have been advised to prepare their children for COVID-19 vaccinations before the reopening of schools in order to avoid coronavirus infections. The State Minister for Primary Education, Dr. Joyce Kaduchu, appealed to the parents to prepare their children for vaccination as government moves ahead to see how schools can be reopened. And these are the details.
State Minister for Primary Education, Dr. Joyce Kaduchu, has appealed to parents to prepare their children for vaccination as government prepares for schools reopening. She was speaking during an interview shortly after a ministerial meeting that was held at Multipurpose Hall in Kasese Town, which was discussing ways of ending disasters that have been claiming lives and destroying property in Kasese.
And the most important thing to think about is the emergency intervention. People are in IDP. People are displaced. They are in schools right now. And we need those schools. Once we open schools, we need the children to study there. So that is one of the areas we are looking at. Where else can we take these people? Government is going to get somewhere to relocate the displaced people so that we start having the schools to prepare. But I want to call upon the children. Closing schools does not close learning. As we prepare to start rolling out the vaccines for our students and probably getting those ones for the lower below 18, let's prepare our children to receive the vaccines.
She also said schools that are currently occupied by the internally displaced persons will soon be needed to allow the learners continue with their studies. The Commissioner for Higher Education, Kule Baritaza, noted that schools that were badly hit by the floods are within Kasese municipality, and over 10 billion shillings is needed for the schools to reoperate.
We identified 14 schools that needed assistance, as most of them in Kasese municipality, and we even went ahead and posted the proposal. By that time, it came to 10 billion, 79,928,600. That time, that was 2020 in July.
The Member of Parliament representing Busongo County North, Sowe Dichi Twanywa, requested that those outside the displaced people's camps should be helped. Bukonzo County East MP Harold Muhindo Tony said government has continued releasing money to deal with problems associated with water, but implementations of such projects were still low.
Work has not started. Right, Honorable Prime Minister, we are fearing that for any other reason, financial related, because we are not aware of the conditions on this grant, we could be surprised that the World Bank will at one time say, we want to withdraw this money because it has not been used. How fast can we have this project started so that the community that was meant to benefit really benefits from this water project?
The third Deputy Prime Minister, Rukia Nakadama, asked leaders to come together on issues of development if they are to realize results.
If it means leaving the 200 meters on both sides of the river, we should leave the 200 meters. The cow said we are experiencing this because of the degradation that has taken place. The environment has been tampered with. We no longer get our snow. Really, I used to come here because this is not my first time to be processed. But you come and see the mountain when it's covered with snow. It's no more because we have used the mountain, the things that we are trying to do there, that is cultivating it.
She said sensitization of the population on conserving the environment should be prioritized by the leaders so that restoring the snows on Mount Rwenzori can be realized.
We'll now take a short commercial break and return after these messages. Stay tuned.
Wait, Abu. And what are you doing throwing papers all over the place?
I'm looking for an invoice for a sound system and cables that I received yesterday, but I can't find it.
You know there is a way of keeping all this in one place and available to you as and when you need it.
I really wish there was one, because the way these invoices grow legs and disappear.
I believe this is what you're looking for.
Now how did it get there?
Tabo! Do you know that with EFRIS, you can stay on track of all your business transactions and improve on your record keeping?
How so?
Katituliku computer with EFRIS. I just search using the fiscal document number and I retrieve the records I'm looking for. Bookkeeping becomes simple after that.
Kapo, awesome, yeah.
I began using URS Kakasa Solutions and now I'm in charge of my business. And you can as well.
Kakasa, be sure you are in charge of your business.
Uganda Revenue Authority. Developing Uganda together.
We've cut and reduced our MTN Momo withdrawal rates. Now you can withdraw mobile money at the lowest rates. You also get MTN Central Points when you deposit, send, and withdraw MTN mobile money. Visit our Momo agents countrywide and withdraw mobile money at our reduced rates from 1st May 2021. Everywhere you go, MTN.
Welcome back. You're still watching the UBC News Tonight, broadcasting live from Nile Avenue, also on YouTube under the name tag UBC Television Uganda. We'll now take you for more news. Sickle cell patients now have a sigh of relief after the loosening of the lockdown. They can now access medical facilities and their doctors. Initially, they faced challenges of traveling and some have since passed on. Our reporter Amon Gabo highlights the underlying challenges of a sickler during this era.
Have you ever heard of a family with a sickle cell child or a patient? Ever wondered what they go through on a daily basis to have the patient survive? Well, in Uganda, there are about 5,000 sickle cell patients under the Sickle Cell Association of Uganda. This number is relatively less than those who don't register, as well as those parents who hide the condition of the sick children. Families have broken, fathers denying their own, as well as the misconception that those with sickle cell are bewitched.
So we visited many families of people affected by sickle cell disease. We saw very many children suffering from sickle cell disease, and there was one common factor. Women, mothers of these children, are abandoned by their husbands. Because one, you marry a woman, you want to have children with that woman. Now the first child has sickle cell disease, and somehow you're told that you carry the gene, she carries the gene, so most likely you have chances of giving birth to more children with sickle cell disease.
Alex Masiko, a renowned intercontinental kickboxing champion, is using his fame and talent to sensitize the public about sickle cell. Under Child Africa, an NGO that is championing the campaign, they believe society can change its perception about the sickle cell child.
Being a kickboxing world champion, they looked at me as someone who can champion the campaign against sickle cell disease. I saw this as an opportunity to serve my country in the medical field. What they go through is terrible. That's why I also got touched, and I saw it as a very good opportunity for me to sensitize people, to bring awareness in communities, to know about this sickle cell and how we can prevent it or how we can manage it.
How come her feet don't resemble mine at all?
It is because she's a little girl and you are a man.
But if she's my child, they should somehow resemble mine.
What are you trying to say?
A movie tagged Understanding Love is being produced to create awareness about the disease, and production of the movie started before the lockdown. The movie was, however, halted due to the pandemic, and fate would have it, 2 of the actors have since died of COVID-19, making it complicated.
I got to know a lot about it, and I was thinking to myself, to me, how would I do something and an awareness that would make people understand when I got to learn of how many children, 33,000 children, are born with sickle cell. And 80% of them die before the age of 5. You can imagine how terrible that is. And I think Marshall here actually helped me a lot also into the direction and how we could make this into a movie and do something, do a huge impact, do an awareness that would help a lot of young people. I think young people need to know that they can, you see, being aware of something, you manage, you are able to manage it.
Child Africa has so far funded the first phase of the movie that requires more than $1 billion shillings in production and marketing.
What we are thinking of doing is obviously to screen the movie and go to schools, go to communities, make a huge awareness, and obviously a movie like this that we have put in so much time and the quality it has, we are of course hoping that it will not only stay in Uganda but go beyond.
Sickle cell anemia affects red blood cells, the cells that carry oxygen throughout the body. Many are carriers with invisible symptoms and carry sickle cell genes passed from generation to generation in a pattern of inheritance.
Wow, the sickle cell story. Very, very inspiring and touching. The leader of the Christian Discipleship Ministries has supported the 60-day lockdown on places of worship to minimize close interface and crowding by worshippers. Apostle Chimuli Michael says that the lockdown is justifiable and the extension will save more lives since the church has already lost some prominent pastors. Chimuli says that religious leaders should just obey the directive and put the SOPs into action. These are the details.
I believe that God has given us more 60 days of lockdown as a church so that we can get an idea of how to take care of the flock. We have different ways we can do it. Number one, we have media houses. We can reach our people through media houses, through Zoom. And we thank God for technology because this is an information technology age. We can use Zoom, you can be on Facebook, you can be on Twitter, we can use YouTube, as well as WhatsApp. The church began in homes of people. Even when the church was praying for Peter, we read an entire chapter of Acts chapter 12 praying for Peter. And they prayed for Peter, but they are not in a church building. They were in the house of Mary. So in our houses, we can pray, and the leaders can lead. So I feel like God wants to give us another idea. Things have changed. The things will never be the same again. We don't have to be, as the Bible says, over wicked or fools. It's in the book of Ecclesiastes chapter 7 verse 17. Then don't be over wicked and don't be fools. Why do you die before your time? We don't want to die. We have seen pastors die during the second wave, all because of our negligence, because we took things to be all so spiritual. So let us be patient as the government thinks of what to do, the Minister of Health, those who are expertise in medical, on the medical side. We are expertise on one side and they are expertise. So we need to respect each other. So we want to respect each other. And I know the government this is a common enemy. It's not only a Uganda enemy. It's a global enemy, a global threat. Can we work together even during these 60 days? And I know the government is more concerned about this than all of us because the economy is affected and they would like the economy to be boosted.
Unity of Faith leader Akujiziwe Bisaka has continued his nationwide evangelization tour. His latest visit has been to Kagadi, where he left impressed by the faith and the numbers that have joined the Unity of Faith.
narole kimyansi omukama rango sobaza na mugamba ngo taiso omwigo oli basebigere byawe tandikana hati nkujanjabira nitusemererwa muno n'abana bange nitwija omukayange nawe nitufukamira ntushabe esara nehwa nagamba kagende mwa mwijikuruwe aguriye sukara aginye nimpora nsemererwa muno kutandika emyaka nkaijo mwaka gwekienda muno kushwerwamu nkanya cyamwe wiki ibiri yafuna accident bamutwara Kampala yamarayo omubigufa kamara emyaka ebiri yeija era twasemererwa nikarate nasobesa rubajurumu bitabiri na musanju ebire byokweza bina musanju kwa musanju kuno nayemera natanga kuri basebigere obusobozi na mujanjaba na sazi nali basebigere ali kurungi
masanyu twine mayingi hagokurora muzeyi akamara emyaka asatu ali hamwigo kugumya hati bunu nagutayiso twasemererwa muno
nkaito abalirano ntuhura tusemereirwe muzeyi amaze obwire bwingi atakurubata ate narubata
Schools across the country are still celebrating the just released Uganda Certificate of Education results for 2020. In Mukono, celebrations have just begun following the area being ranked as one of the best performing districts in the country. These are the jubilations.
Just like Kampala, Wakiso, schools in Mukono district are ranked among the best performers in the recently released Uganda Certificate of Education exams. Schools defied all odds to maintain their top positions amidst the challenge of COVID-19. The head teacher at Seta High School Mbalala, Boniface Sebukalo, says although they emerged victorious, they still encountered a number of challenges like COVID-19 pandemic and high costs of online learning.
COVID-19 has affected us and the children greatly in a way that they have had a lot of breaks in their learning. Whenever you have many breaks in the learning, it brings about disintegrated learning, dotted learning.
The head teacher at Seta High School main campus, Alan Obo, says carrying out e-learning at all branches was so challenging. At Namiliango College, Ernesto Moding, who emerged the best with 848, was awarded 1 million shillings by the school. Omoding expressed gratitude to his parents and teachers for the continuous support, especially during the hard times of the pandemic.
This was my parents who has really been a hard time during the COVID period. Thanks be to God, I've still managed to make it what I wanted. I never expected it that much because
his father, Wilfredo Crute, appreciated him for not letting him down.
I didn't expect it because of the challenge of COVID. But during this COVID time here, I saw there is nothing impossible.
Also in Imbala and Sironko, private and government schools celebrated their great performance despite the effects of COVID-19.
I thank the entire school, head teacher, administration.
Our success this year to the strategies that we have had in the past, but also those that we put because of the COVID.
The teachers did their work wholesomely, despite the factors that we had. And
best thing would be finding mechanisms on how the schools can be able to reopen. So
oh my God!
Jubilations, and congratulations to the candidates that passed exceptionally. Let's now take a short commercial break and we'll return with more UBC news.
Echa COVID-19 chijja kugwa only if we stay at home, observe physical distancing, wear masks properly, sanitize or wash our hands with soap and water regularly, or get vaccinated now.
It's no secret that ICT makes learning easy.
The strides made in our field couldn't be possible without it.
And now we can watch our favorite show.
My radio is my best friend.
UCC provides an enabling regulatory environment and policy guidance for healthy competition. We also facilitate ease of doing business in the communications sector through licensing, standardization, spectrum management, tariff regulation, rural communication development, and consumer empowerment. An informed consumer is an empowered consumer. UCC supports local content and innovations. Driving the development of a robust communication sector in Uganda is Uganda Communications Commission.
Welcome back. You're still watching the UBC News tonight. Now I'll take you to the international news. A pandemic-related U.S. government ban on residential evictions expired at midnight on Saturday, putting millions of American renters at risk of being forced from their homes. The expiration was a blow to President Joe Biden, who on Thursday made a last-ditch request to Congress to extend the moratorium, citing the raging Delta variant. The U.S. Senate held a rare Saturday session but did not address the eviction ban. The White House had made it clear that it would not unilaterally extend the protections, arguing that it does not have legal authority to do so following the Supreme Court ruling in June. More than 15 million people in 6.5 million U.S. households are currently behind the rental payments, according to the study by the Aspen Institute and the COVID-19 Eviction Defense Project, collectively owing more than $20 billion to landlords. Landlord groups opposed the moratorium, and some landlords have struggled to keep up with mortgages, tax and insurance payments, and properties without rental income. An eviction moratorium has largely been in place under various measures since late March in 2020. Israel's Prime Minister has said that he knows with certainty Iran was involved in a deadly tanker attack off Oman. Accusations Tehran called baseless. 2 crew members died when the MV Massa Street, operated by an Israeli-owned farm, was attacked on Thursday. Israeli Prime Minister Naftali Bennett warned that we know how to send a message to Iran, while Tehran said that it would not hesitate to defend its interests. There have been several recent attacks on Israeli and Iranian-operated ships, and the attacks since March have been seen off as a tit for tat incidents. A British security guard and a Romanian crew member died on the Zodiac maritime operated vessel, with the US pointing to a drone attack.
There have been a series of attacks on vessels operated by both Israel and Iran.
And now in the world of sports, Italy's Lamont Marcel Jacobs claimed a shock gold in the Olympic 100 meters final after Great Britain's Zanel Hughes was disqualified for